A threat was made, and we didn't think it was appropriate, so I have to be very careful. So I do that on the basis of safety for our people.
The men have been taunting each other after the White House this week said Russia had 10 days to agree to a ceasefire in Ukraine or face tough sanctions.
Russia? I think it's disgusting what they're doing. I think it's disgusting.
A cargo ship worth tens of millions suddenly goes dark off Venezuela's coast. Its AIS signal vanishes. Zigzag patterns appear on radar. Within minutes, the U.S. Navy is forced into a decision that could spark an international crisis. Was it just a freighter, or a floating weapons depot on a collision course with disaster? Stay with me, because this story isn't about one ship. It's about how seconds, sensors, and strategy decide between peace and war on the open sea. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. At 4 a.m., the fatigue is real. Screens blur, the hum of electronics mixes with engine noise, and every operator trusts that the ocean behaves as expected.
We know when there's Russians underway at all times. We track that very, very closely.
President Trump issuing new warnings to Russia and repositioning 2 U.S. nuclear submarines after what he calls highly provocative statements by Russia's former president.
The men have been taunting each other after the White House this week said Russia had 10 days to agree to a ceasefire in Ukraine or face tough sanctions.
But then, one ship's light disappears, not a physical light, but its electronic beacon. The AIS transponder, the system that marks location and identity for every cargo ship at sea, just goes dark. For a Navy watch officer, that's the spark. That single vanishing signal can mean mechanical failure, smuggling concealment, or a trap. On radar, the track should have been straight, smooth, predictable. Instead, a jagged path appears, hard turns, spirals, then sudden silence. Patterns like that don't happen by mistake. They trigger alarms because traffickers use them to dodge surveillance, and armed groups use them to mask approach speeds. In the combat center, you don't assume. You escalate. Because what you're seeing could be a small drug run, or the opening move of a hostile strike vessel. Meanwhile, word moves quickly up the chain. A Poseidon P-8, the Navy's long-range patrol aircraft, quickly diverts. Its sensors cut across hundreds of miles, feeding live images. MQ-9 drones extend coverage, their altitude giving near-constant eyes on the sea. An Arleigh Burke-class destroyer shifts course, engines rolling to tighten the noose around the grid square. At that moment, a quiet piece of ocean becomes a cage, the ship at the center, Navy steel on the edges. Inside the Combat Information Center, data bleeds in from every angle. The picture is raw at first, infrared blurs where a heat plume signals engines under strain, outlines on radar that warp in faint arcs, distortions across radio that suggest jamming. By themselves, they look incomplete. But pull them together, and you see a shape emerge. That's sensor fusion. Like fitting puzzle tiles from different sets, it looks wrong until you layer them. Then the ghost of a vessel begins to sharpen.
A threat was made, and we didn't think it was appropriate, so I have to be very careful. So I do that on the basis of safety for our people.
President Trump says he's ordered the deployment of 2 U.S. nuclear submarines to the appropriate regions in response to threats from the former Russian president, Dmitry Medvedev.
Russia? I think it's disgusting what they're doing. I think it's disgusting.
Here the clock matters. Decisions are not endless debates. They run on windows as short as 5 to 15 minutes. Wait too long, and the ship punches out of range or reaches a port where it can vanish into shadows. Move too soon, and you risk boarding a vessel that might carry semi-automatic rifles pointed straight back at your team. This is the thin red line between holding fire and drawing it. As the data lines sharpen, anxiety builds. Small escort craft launch from the side of the convoy. They're fast, angled, running tight toward the exclusion zone. These aren't fishing skiffs. They look tactical, disciplined, cutting low through the waves. In the sea icy, operators trace their lines inching toward Navy bubbles of control. The officer of the deck has to weigh it. Was this cargo ship just hauling cocaine bricks, or hiding an arms package built for a militia group? The layers of surveillance keep stacking. The Poseidon streams back thermal patches, containers hotter than expected, a sign of chemical heating or shielded compartments.
And Donald Trump has posted online about moving to nuclear submarines to be nearer to Russia.
Mr. Medvedev reminded President Trump that Russia possessed nuclear strike capabilities. It's not clear exactly where Mr. Trump has ordered the submarines to be deployed. Here's our North America correspondent, David Willis.
Drones catch deck movement, silhouettes at odd stations rather than normal crew routines. The destroyer's radar plots harder returns than a standard bulk hull, as if extra structures had been fastened above or beneath. Every new piece says the same thing: this vessel isn't just hiding. It's armed to withstand the chase. The escort craft shift closer to the Navy perimeter. Operators watch contact reports climb in speed. This maneuver is more than suspicious, it's provocative. Their path cuts directly across the protective arc around U.S. assets. In doctrine, that's a test, sometimes even a precursor strike to distract or break formation. The watch team knows what this means. Restraint now carries deeper risk, not only to intelligence gathering, but to lives on deck. Put together, the picture is clear enough. What began as a missing transponder turned into the outline of a weapons cache guarded by fast escorts. What looked like smuggling now read as tactical transport. On one level, drugs fund the network. On another, arms secure its survival. Each signal feeds the chain until hesitation is no longer whether action is necessary, but when that action will hit. And somewhere on that dark horizon, the order builds toward release. The choice the Navy faced here was as sharp as a blade. Do nothing, risk a vessel armed and shielded against pursuit. Move too fast, risk igniting violence against boarding units. That tension, between restraint and decisive strike, defines modern maritime warfare. One decision stops a smuggler. Another prevents a far larger catastrophe. Comment your choice below. Should neutralization have been the only move, or would you have ordered a boarding despite the danger? What would you do in that chair, with seconds left? Subscribe and join a community that seeks to understand the realities of modern conflict.